My name is Mark Stein. I've been making stained glass windows since I was 11 years old. I love what I do. For a long time I thought I have something to teach people, because I sit here and I teach every day. That's how I do really good craftsmanship. I sit here and I pretend like I'm teaching. But mostly there's no one here. I have taught at free schools and places like that, and actually it's kind of frustrating because generally they're more involved in selling you your tools and supplies than they are in teaching. Also, they tend to be beginning classes, and what I long to do is teach advanced techniques. So I've decided to produce a set of videos and offer them for sale on the internet and maybe through other distributors, we'll see. And what we're going to do is we're going to spend some time together, and I'm going to try and talk about everything I know. We're going to do this really informally. This is not going to be like a TV program that's produced for PBS, where we're going to zip through a little project in a half hour's time. We're not in a television studio, we're in my garage, where I work most of the year. One of the nice things about what I do. But what we're going to try and do is just spend some time together, and I'm going to try and talk about what I know. I'm going to talk out loud instead of talking to myself the way I do most of the time. And hopefully I'll be able to teach you something about stained glass. Hopefully this video set is going to be such that a beginner could start from scratch and learn the art of stained glass, or an intermediate or even an advanced person could improve their technique. So here we are in my garage, and we're not going to do anything very formal. It's going to be very informal, and we're just going to spend some time together, and I'm going to try and teach you what I know. I'm known for my precision craftsmanship and also for my design style. Design style is something that's everybody's is different, and we'll talk about how you can develop one of your own. But the craftsmanship is something that you can either do it you can learn to do it exactly the way that I do it, or you can learn your own way of doing it. The thing that I really want to impart to people is the attitude behind the craftsmanship. I go to a lot of stained glass shows, a lot of arts and crafts shows. I see stained glass everywhere. I tend to look at it very close and with a critical eye. And I have to be honest, I see a lot of poor craftsmanship. And I'm convinced that there's kind of a lazy or a hurried attitude behind that. People are thinking, oh, if I'm going to make money on this, I've got to whip it out really quick. Or people are employing other people in a large studio situation, and they're pushing their people to work as fast as they can. If you want to work as fast as you can, your work is going to show it. If you want to work with a different sort of attitude, an attitude where you try and produce a piece that's very clean and very precise and very professional looking, then this is the right set of videos for you. I'm going to do something a little bit different in another way as well. When I decided to produce a set of videos, I went to the library, checked out a bunch of books on making videotapes, and they all said, you got to write out a script, a word-for-word script, and read it off of idiot cards or, cue cards or whatever. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to talk about what I do. I'm not going to edit out every time I slip, have a slip of the tongue, and I'm not going to edit out every time I make a mistake when I'm working in my studio, because I don't work like a machine. I don't produce a piece that's totally perfect, but I produce a very nicely crafted piece, and the way I do that, I'm just going to talk about it as I do it, and if I make mistakes, I'm going to show you how I fix my mistakes, and I'm going to show you how I learn from those mistakes so that I don't make those mistakes again, because that's how your craftsmanship gets better. You just don't keep making the same mistakes that you made before, or you make them less often, or you know how to correct them in a way that they eventually aren't part of your final artwork. So it depends on how you're constructing the window, whether you're using a thick lead or a thin lead or copper foil. Okay? Now, rotation goes like this. First of all, when you use rotation, again, that much more important to keep your hands together when you separate. Or when you're rotating, you can rotate with the pliers too as you're breaking apart. That much more important because in that split second after it breaks, the glasses are moving quickly. If you don't have this contact, the glasses will move very quickly and you could cut yourself very badly. Okay. Push forward on this hand to try and help it around here. Now when it gets down here, it is certainly getting weaker, but it never really gets to a very fine point. So it's really not weak enough to worry about opposite. Now, I think you probably heard that, and what that means, what that pop means, is that the break started and it probably goes around to about here. So there are times where I might even shift my hands. I'm still keeping, if I shift my hands to here, I'm still keeping contact underneath in some fashion. And that allows me and now it even broke a little farther along. I could feel it. And now I'm actually gonna do something where I don't really have contact, but I have this kind of contact, where I don't let go between these fingers and the underside of the glass. This would be much more difficult to do because either the circle has to be mitered to butt up against the line, or the line has to be mitered to butt up against the circle. And either way, that's very difficult. The easier way to do it is to design it like this. It becomes much easier. And in fact, by making this distance right here the exact width between the center of this line and the center of the straight line, by making that a 1/4 inch and knowing that I'm using 1/4 inch lead, or if I were using 3/8 inch lead, then by making this distance 3/8 of an inch. In other words, by making this distance whatever the thickness of the lead that I'm going to use, when I go to lead it, what happens is the circle lead line comes out right next to the other one, the straight line. And you don't actually see this little line. It's completely hidden by the 2 pieces of lead. But what I'm going to do in order to cut this strip, I need to make 2 parallel marks equidistant from this line here. And so I've laid this down with just enough room right there for the heart of the lead, and I've already marked it here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the sheet over and lay it up against there again. And make my other mark on the back side. Now I'm going to pick a spot where there isn't a whole lot of deep texture. And I can do this because it's clear glass, and when I go back to cut it, even though I'll be lining up my ruler, my metal straight edge, with 1 mark on the top side and 1 mark over here on the bottom side, it shouldn't be a problem. And that'll give me a nice parallel strip right here.